You made dinner tonight. You know which one of them won't eat onions. You know whose prescription is running low. You know the exact day the car is due for inspection, because nobody else in that house knows it. And you sat down at that table, with all of them right there, and you felt like you were eating alone. If you have ever thought, I have a husband, I have children, I have no right to feel this alone, then this was written for you. That feeling is not a sin. It is not ingratitude. It has a name, and there is a woman in this book who lived it. The text does something with her it does almost nowhere else. It wrote down what she said every single time she tried again. 6 sentences, across 6 sons. Watch what happens to the third one. Then watch what happens after the fourth, because that is the part nobody preaches. Grief usually comes with instructions. Someone dies, and the church brings food. Neighbors send flowers. There is a day on the calendar, and after it everyone agrees you are allowed to be sad. None of that arrives for this. Nobody brings a casserole when your husband is sitting 8 feet away and hasn't asked you a question in 4 years. Nobody sends a card when your children call on Sundays, and the call lasts 6 minutes. There was no funeral, so there is no permission. So you police yourself. You catch yourself feeling it, and you think, stop. He's a good man. They're good kids. What is wrong with me? A family researcher named Pauline Boss gave this a name in the 1970s. Ambiguous loss. She was working with families of soldiers missing in action, and later with families living with dementia, people grieving someone still in the room. Ordinary loss ends. This one doesn't. You can't finish grieving a person who is still at the table. So what does a woman do with a grief that nobody will call a grief? One of them left an answer, 3,500 years ago. Not in what she did, in what she said. A young man named Jacob works 7 years to marry a woman named Rachel. The text says something about those 7 years. It never says about anyone else. They seemed to him but a few days, because of the love he had for her. 7 years, a few days. That is how much he wanted her. On the wedding night, Rachel's father sends in her older sister instead. Genesis 29 verse 25. And in the morning, behold, it was Leah. That is the whole sentence. The Bible spends nothing on how she felt in that room. It tells you what he saw when the sun came up. And before Leah says one word, verse 31 says this: When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb. Some translations soften that to unloved. The Hebrew is blunter than we are comfortable with. But hold on to the first 3 words. The Lord saw, before she said anything, before she prayed, before she earned it. Keep that sentence somewhere. She is about to spend 6 births trying to get something, verse 31 already handed her, and I want you to see how long it takes her to look in that direction. She has a son, and the text records the sentence she said while she was naming him. Because the Lord has looked upon my affliction, for now my husband will love me. There are 2 different people in that sentence. The first half is about God. He looked, he saw, she got that right. The second half is about Jacob. Now my husband will love me. Now, this one will do it. She has done the thing that was supposed to work. In her world, in that century, a son was the largest thing a woman could hand a man. She has just handed him the largest thing she had. And she is standing there with a newborn, doing the math on whether it was enough. You have stood in that kitchen. You made the thing he likes. You handled the thing before anyone noticed it needed handling. And then you watched his face to see whether it registered. It was not enough. How do we know? She gets pregnant again, and the text gives us her second sentence. Because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. Something is missing from that one. Listen again. The Lord has heard that I am hated. He has given me this son also. Jacob is not in it. For the first time she names a child and says nothing about her husband. No, now he will love me. No, this time, she has moved the whole sentence over to God, and she describes herself with the same word the narrator used: hated. That is not peace. That is a woman who has stopped saying his name out loud, because saying it costs too much. There is a year in a marriage when a woman stops telling her husband about her day. Not in anger, she just runs the calculation one time too many, and quietly closes the account. And then she was pregnant again. Here is the third sentence. Now this time my husband will be attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. 2 sings. 2 things changed, and both of them are bad. God is gone. For the first time, she names a son and does not mention him at all. Not one word. And look what took his place. Because I have borne him 3 sons. She is counting. She has never counted before. The first time she hoped. The second time she went quiet. The third time she brings a number. That is a woman itemizing what she has produced and setting it on the table as an argument. 3 sons. Look at the total. Surely 3 is enough to buy what 1 was not. Every woman who has ever silently added it up knows this sentence. 22 years of dinners. Every school form. Every doctor's appointment. Every one of his relatives you remembered to send a card to. Nobody teaches you to keep that ledger. You start keeping it when you run out of hope and you still have work. She gets pregnant one more time. What does a woman say when she has stopped expecting an answer? The fourth sentence is 6 words long. This time I will praise the Lord. That is the entire sentence. Jacob is not in it. But this time, neither is the argument. No, now he will. No, surely. No, total. She is not asking for anything. 3 times she named a child while negotiating. The 4th time, she named one and she was not making a case to anybody. She called him Judah. Then the narrator writes one more line and sets it directly after. Then she ceased bearing. She stopped. That would be a good place to end. Almost every telling of this story ends right there. But the chapter keeps going. And what it does next is the reason I wanted to tell you about Leah instead of somebody easier. She has 2 more sons. And when the second one is born, Genesis 30 verse 20, she says this: God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will honor me, because I have borne him 6 sons. Set that beside the 3rd sentence. 3 sons, because I have borne him 3 sons. 6 sons, because I have borne him 6 sons. It is the same sentence, the same hope, the same word now, the same ledger, and the number has doubled. She got out, and then she went back in. And when she went back, she was counting higher. That almost never gets preached. But if you have ever put something down, and then found yourself a year later doing the same arithmetic with a bigger total, then this is the passage in the Bible that was written for you. And watch what God does about it. 3 verses earlier. And God listened to Leah. She is back to counting, and he does not withdraw. He does not wait for her to get it permanently right before he answers her. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. She could have left. She could not. Leah had no money, and no way to earn any, no legal standing, and a father who had already sold her once. Leaving meant starving in a field. That door did not exist. It exists for you. That difference does not make this story smaller for you. It makes it sharper. Leah could tell herself she had no choice. You can't. You have known where that door is for years. And when a woman knows the door is there and does not walk through it, something in her has to account for that. Every year, quietly, to herself. So what does she do with that? She produces. You read the marriage book. He didn't. You went to the counselor. Alone. Or he came twice and then it was busy season. You lost the weight. You stopped bringing it up, because bringing it up cost more than not bringing it up. You became the one who does not make a scene. That is what the ledger is actually for. It was never a bill you were going to hand him. He was never going to read it. It is the case you have been building for yourself. Evidence that staying was reasonable, that these years bought something, that you are not a woman who wasted her life on a man who wouldn't look up. Leah kept her ledger in sons. You keep yours in dinners, and school forms, and 20 years of not making a scene. And I am not telling you to walk out. I am not telling you to stay. That is not mine to say, and anybody on the internet who tells you they know is lying to you. I am telling you what that ledger is, and who it is addressed to. So what do those 6 sentences actually show? It is not what you would expect. The thing that changed was never him, she asked directly, then quietly, then with a receipt in her hand, then again with a receipt twice the size. He is not recorded answering any of it, not once, in 6 births. And the thing that changed was not her trying harder. By the 3rd son she was already at the top of what she could produce, and she said so out loud. By the 6th, she had doubled it. Effort was never the missing piece. Here is what actually moved, and it moved exactly once. For most of her life, Leah was submitting evidence to a judge. Jacob was the one deciding whether her life had counted. Every son was a filing. Every because I have borne him was a total at the bottom of a page. In the 4th sentence, she stopped filing. She did not stop working. She still had that household, and all of those children. What she put down was not the work. She stopped handing the work to a man who was never going to rule on it. That is the difference between giving up and putting it down. Giving up is when you stop caring for them. Putting it down is when you stop waiting on one person's verdict about whether it mattered. So how does a woman get out of that? I am not going to give you 3 steps. You have had enough people hand you a plan. Go back instead to the sentence before Leah ever opened her mouth. Verse 31. Before Reuben. Before the counting. Before any of the totals. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated. The seeing she spent 6 births trying to earn had already happened. It happened before the 1st son, in the one direction she was not looking. She was never unseen. She was seen by someone whose verdict she was not checking. That is the whole thing. Not work less. Not leave. Not sit him down and explain it again. Just the one question underneath the arithmetic: whose ruling are you still waiting for? Because a ruling has already been entered, and it was entered before you did one thing to deserve it. And there is one more line, at the very end of Jacob's life. He is dying in Egypt. He tells his sons where to bury him, and he lists who is already in that cave. Genesis 49. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. There I buried Leah. He put her in the family tomb. And he asked to be laid in it himself. Rachel is not there. She was buried years earlier, on the road to Bethlehem, under a stone by herself. Now I want to be careful with you, because this is where a video like this usually lies. The text never says he loved her. It doesn't say he changed his mind, or that he ever told her. All it tells us is where he put her. If you came here hoping this ends with him finally seeing her, I can't give you that, because the book doesn't. But look at which son it runs through. Judah, the 4th one. The one she named in the single moment she was not keeping score. That is the line the kings come from. That is the line Jesus comes from. Not Reuben, the son she had in order to be loved. Not Zebulun, the one with 6 on the receipt. She spent 6 births trying to be chosen by the one person who would not choose her. She got free of it once, for the length of one sentence. And that sentence is the only thing she ever said that the whole world still repeats. You are not slow, and you are not weak for going back. She went back too, with a bigger number. It took her 4 sons to put it down one time, and she picked it up again. That is not you failing. That is the honest length of it. If you have been at the 3rd son, put Genesis 29:35 in the comments. You don't have to explain it. The people who need to see it will know.